Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Weiss. I'm really excited to talk to you about what motivates me to take positive action. And that is earning a living, healing earth. This is a topic that I've dedicated a huge portion of my life to. I really give almost all the waking hours of my day, and something that I really live and help others seek to live as well. And if you stay with me to the end, I'll give you a special secret, something that was huge to my success and might just be the secret to your success as well. So what motivates me to take positive action? Well, the biggest thing is experiencing the results. I had the great fortune to learn from Austrian rebel farmer Sepp Holzer, and seeing what he achieved, seeing these beautiful, lush landscapes that produce food, that produce habitat, that produce everything that humans and non-humans, living beings on the planet need to really thrive and survive. And so when you experience a place like the Krameterhof firsthand, you see how they've stewarded the water, stewarded the land, set up the ecosystem in a way where it produces food year-round with very little care and maintenance. And it's really this incredibly productive ecosystem where it functions as an ecosystem, as a healthy environment on its own, and also produces food, fiber, medicine, and beauty and joy for the humans living there. Here's a picture from Sepp's new farm, the Holzerhof, where a tree is falling over with the weight of its own productivity, loaded with apples, loaded with grapes as well, and this is grown with no inputs and very little care and maintenance, just by partnering with natural forces. And then you can go to some of his projects around the world, like in Portugal, where this community now has ample water from the work that he helped them implement. This is a community that barely had enough and now has ample, and this is just using the rain, the resources that are freely available, that nature provides, and really respecting and stewarding them as such. I've also gotten the experience to travel and learn from Rajendra Singh as well, the waterman of India, and seeing these results was breathtaking. You see places that couldn't produce food, where everyone was leaving, and with just a little bit of work, with a little bit of effort, storing that seasonal water through the year, these communities change night and day difference. Rivers are flowing now perennially that were dry for decades in some cases due to this decentralized water retention work. And holding the water, it creates water for later in the year, it creates water for greenery and vegetation, transpiration and cooling, but it also helps recharge water into the ground, filling up the aquifers, recharging springs and wells. And so it really created a huge difference in this region. They've rejuvenated 13 rivers now, brought water back to 250,000 wells, raised the water level 5 meters in some places, and reduced the temperature 2 degrees Celsius throughout this region. And experiencing the results of my own projects all around the world, seeing how in just one summer we can transform a landscape and really enable it to hold all of the water that it receives. So in the heavy rainy times, we hold that water, we feed it into the ground, we charge it up so that it has resiliency through the dry times. Now this landscape that used to really house no biodiversity has all sorts of waterfowl, aquatic insects, a whole thriving ecosystem all built off of the water that we've helped store on the landscape. Now really interestingly, a spring in this project area now flows 10 to 20 times as strongly as it did when we first tapped it. Now you could say this was a change in the region, but we tapped another spring that was a good control, and that has had no change in its rate and flow. And so the work that we've done to hold this water, to recharge it into the ground, this spring that used to produce a quarter to a half a gallon per minute now produces 10 to 20 gallons per minute all the way through the dry season. On other areas of this property, we've helped them graze the same landscape numerous times throughout the year because it wasn't holding enough water, it wasn't recovering. We've also extended the creek flow from 6 months to 8, 9, 10, 11, sometimes year-round, the creek's flowing. Now, we can also do lots of things to help mitigate buildings, structures, roads, features that are making water run off and hold that water, recharge it back into the ground. It creates a nice habitat, in this case, something that blue herons even enjoy, and also creates a nice area to swim for people to enjoy. And then the results of a project like this in Australia, where because of the water retention work that we did, this farmer was thriving, producing more than he ever had in the driest time when all the neighboring farms were selling off all of their animals and running out of water. And so being able to experience these results, that's what really motivates me to act. I know that this is possible. I know that it's achievable, that it's feasible, and I see the incredible positive impacts. I see the frogs, the fish, the birds, the bees, everything that benefits from the water that we bring to the landscape. This is one of my favorite quotes from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. And this is one of the things that really motivates me to act as well. This thought that we have to apply knowledge, that we have to will things into existence in order for them to have value. And so these are foundational experiences that you can't unsee. They shape the way you look at the world, shape the way you want to spend time. When you experience landscapes that are healthy and thriving, where children are going to school instead of carrying water all day, where water is ample and available throughout the year to all life, it really makes you want to do something about it. And so what motivates me to act? There's also a little bit deeper personal story that I want to touch on. What drives us ultimately? For me, I remember as a kid thinking about truth and how humans only hold our own version of the truth. And we each have our own things that we believe, and it frames our reality, and it's really hard to tell between different versions of human truth. But then I realized that nature is this truth that binds us all, that keeps us all accountable to the same world. And so I really always looked at nature as this foundational guide, as the ultimate intelligence and expression of creation and patterns and the beauty that we have in this world. And through some different experiences, I've been able to really experience that interconnectivity of life. There was an experience wolf tracking where it just was a confirmation of everything that I thought I knew as a kid. Understanding the consciousness of life, how all of creation and animals are communicating with each other, working as part of the same living organism in a way, and being able to experience this firsthand, staring in the eyes of a wolf that was communicating with the ground squirrel. This really was just ultimate confidence that nature has this inherent intelligence, that it has this beauty, that it has this value that really needs to be protected and stewarded. So when I came across Sepp and met him in Montana, this gave me a way to actualize everything I had dreamed of as a kid. Here was this person creating these landscapes, stewarding these animals, creating these environments of health and abundance, and it really grabbed me. Here was this short period of time, just 11 days, where we transformed this whole property. This was a degraded wetland with the airstrip through the middle of it, and now you can find tracks of every type of wildlife in Montana thriving in this revived landscape. And I got the ability to travel with him and learn from him in different situations, and to really do the work, to actually be the person on the machine that he was guiding, to implement different types of projects in different areas. This is what I spent the last decade of my life doing. I really feel a great gratitude and honor. Sepp made me the first person that he gave his special practitioner certification through a long apprenticeship, and he's shared with me that he thinks I'm his best student, and he's really just created so many opportunities for me in the world to excel. And so I have immense gratitude for this elder that just rewired my brain, that showed a different way of doing, a different way of being, and a way to be really effective in creating a transformation that the animals, that the plants, that the living beings that are interconnected with us in nature actually experience and benefit from. And so this is what I've done over the last 10 years of my life, traveling around the world, now working on more than 25 different countries, spanning 6 continents, helping people come to a better relationship with their landscape, especially in how they manage water and how it receives water. And we see all around the world, we have these different environments, these different places, and in so many cases, they're all dealing with the same problems. Doesn't matter if you're in the cloud forest of Ecuador or the desert of Rajasthan. When it rains, there's too much all at once, and it's becoming less and less frequent, with longer periods of drought in between, and therefore scarcity in between. And so it's actually a lot of times very similar approaches and solutions that can get us to resolve and balance some of these irregularities. And it really has created this incredible quality of life where I'm traveling the world as a wanderer, helping the most amazing people create beautiful creations on landscape. These are all people that really love the place where they are, that want to do something positive, that want to do something for nature. And we get to help these people implement their dreams and visions and move their project forward light years ahead, using this experience that I've gained from Sepp, from Rajendra, from other people to push their project ahead and make sure that they're really effective in achieving these goals. And so it creates this incredible feeling of fulfillment to help good people do good things and to co-create this better common future. And there's so much need of this around the world. It is amazing. From the top to the bottom, everyone needs this, whether you're a small village or community or whether you're the Department of Defense in the United States. These are all the different types of clients and communities that are reaching out to us to help solve their water woes and challenges. And what happens is, as you create a project, it creates ripple effects in that region. Now you're able to actually use your hands, your own skill and ability to create real change. And so this is one project we did in Oregon, where now every year we have more and more projects in this area because people are able to go here and experience it. They're able to see that they too could create a water secure landscape, a landscape that thrives no matter the climate instability that's experienced. And so someone recently asked me, why water? Why, it's clear that I love nature, that I've devoted my life to doing something positive for nature, but why water? I'd say, I kind of came to it retrospectively. I always loved water, but I didn't see anything crazy special about it. But it was really just in seeing how well it works, in seeing the results that are achieved when you work with water. This was the big aha moment, to see that the projects that really are achieving incredible results are oftentimes starting with the water and focusing on the water. That is, in many cases, 70% of the work, getting the water household in order. And that's because we have this beautiful interconnected biosphere that uses the water cycle to distribute fertility. This is something I don't have time to go all into, but there's all these different elements in the water cycle, from the pressure impacts of water going from vapor to liquid, creating a vacuum, drawing in moisture, from the temperature gradients that forests create, to the microscopic organisms that forests generate and release that actually perform the nucleation for precipitation and that rainfall can't form without. And what we see all around the world is, instead of this full, healthy, functioning water cycle, we're moving more and more to this watershed death spiral, where the land is cleared, when the rain comes, it all runs off, creating flood and then also drought and fire. And the bare, hot earth heats up, creating high-pressure heat domes that resist the incoming humidity and create these huge major storms with longer periods of drought in between. And so what we're working towards is the revived water cycle, to turn this around, to put water into the earth, to recharge the biosystems, the living systems of the earth, to recreate that full, healthy, interconnected, and stable water cycle. So also why water is so important, we're seeing it's going to be one of the biggest factors in the future of the world. By estimates, by 2030, humanity's annual global water requirements will exceed current sustainable supplies by 40%. That means every year we'll be going 40% over the amount of water that we could expect to use in a perpetual basis. Also, by 2030, half of the world's population will be living in areas of high water stress. Now, Depending on what statistics you read, more than half of the world's wetlands have been lost, and maybe as high as 80 or 90%. Now, we say that they've been lost, but they've actually been drained, they've been destroyed, they've been relocated, and this is also creating these flooding events that we see as that shock absorber has been dissolved. And so this has created a huge impact on our landscape. Over the last 10,000 years, human activity has desertified 1/3 of all Earth's lands. This is part of humanity's legacy, but it's also something we can very much reverse. So how do we do this? With water cycle restoration. We're resolving flood, drought, and wildfire through partnering with nature. And you can see these ways that we've changed the landscape. And when you really plot it out, you can see how this creates this difference in water flow over time. The concreted landscape, it happens all at once. Then there's no water for the rest of the year. Now, additionally, that concrete is just absorbing temperature, heating up hotter and hotter. Whereas if that water is instead infiltrated into the ground, it slowly feeds through the system. It provides water to vegetation. It's cooling the earth, 590 calories per gram of water transpired. And so you have this slow, steady flow through the system. It's also providing cooling for the atmosphere. And so there's all these different techniques of decentralized water retention, holding water in the earth through water bodies, terracing, infiltration basins, leaky weirs, contour trenches, biological enhancement, but finding all the different ways that we can to help water feed into the ground. So there's this feedback loop of success that really happens when you work with water. It achieves results, and then people replicate it. And we see this time and time again, from the movements in India to our own projects, where once you get an example on the ground, people see its success. And the success happens quickly. On a quick time scale, you can see the results after the first rain. And so it really enables people to get excited about it and continue to work with it. This is why I think in many ways the modern environmental movement has hitched their cart to the wrong horse, focusing on carbon when we should really be focusing on water. Water actually drives most of the heat dynamics on the planet, and it's something that we've had a really clear disturbance of. But more so, it's something we can see results with. When we work with water, we get results quick. The first year, the first couple of years, we can already see the impacts, see the life, see the cooling that's all happening as a result. When we're talking about carbon, we don't even see the results for 20, 50, 100 years, and so it's really hard for people to get excited and motivated around. And when we work with water, we have this ability to actually help stabilize the climate as well. We see in India, they've reduced the temperature 2 degrees Celsius. We see the huge amount of cooling potential water has through moving through living systems. And so this is really earth medicine. This is taking the earth with its fever, with its instability, with its sickness, and using water to soothe that fever, to rehydrate that ground, to restore and revive that landscape towards health. So now I'm going to let you in on a little secret, something that has really been a key to my success and I think might help you succeed as well. The reality of the permaculture movement is that there's very few people actually doing the real land healing work. There's lots of people earning their living educating about it, or talking about it, or doing studies about it, or plans and designs, but there's very few people who actually provide the services to do the land healing for others. It would be like if in medicine there were professors who teach medicine at universities, hospitals, receptionists, health insurance, but no actual doctors who treat patients. And so why is this? Well, projects are hard work. It's blood, sweat, and tears. But more importantly, there's just not a lot of people who have done it. So by and large, people are learning from those who don't have that much on-the-ground experience. And so no one really gets comfortable doing the on-the-ground parts. But this is the only thing that leads to the real world results. And I think that's why permaculture has had a relatively slow adoption. There's a few good projects here and there, but there's a lot of projects that don't move forward very quickly, that don't achieve very good results, that other people who aren't interested in this look at and say, oh, that's something that I want. And so this is something you can really use to your advantage. You can create these landscapes of health and abundance. You can create these places where food is falling on the ground year round with very little care and maintenance. And when people see those results, they want that for themselves. Whether they want to do something good for the environment or just want a healthy place to raise kids, this is something that really hits at a core human value. And I find when expressed in the right ways, nearly everyone wants this. And so when you can really create the changes on the landscape, you can create the water bodies, you can hold the water in the earth, feeding the living systems that then grow themselves, you really have something to offer to others. And when you can create examples like this, where by holding the water, the cork oaks that were dying are no longer. When you can create examples like this with communities that didn't have enough water, that now have ample water throughout the year just by storing their rains. You can create examples like this where people have food and people are able to return to the country from the cities, reverse migration, children going to school that used to carry water all day just by holding water. You can create examples like this, rejuvenating rivers and entire watersheds. In this case, rejuvenating 13 rivers, 250,000 wells, really incredible work because people saw the results. It started slowly and surely. They built one water body, one well was recharged, but because the results happened quickly enough, more and more communities did it until it spread through the whole region. And so this is really important. In theory and practice are the same. In practice, they're not. And I think this is part of this secret that I'm sharing with you, is that most knowledge in permaculture is theoretical. It's not applied. It's not existing on the landscape. Stuff that makes sense in theory, but not necessarily in practice. And that's where really learning how to do the practice, engaging with the landscape, creating interactions and learning from them, that's the real path forward to being able to provide this for others. So what motivates me to act again? This is a question I'm going to keep asking. I feel like I got this incredible gift from Sepp Holzer to be able to transform landscapes like this, to be able to help others, to be able to live this very fulfilling and rich life. And I feel this responsibility to pass that on to as many people as possible. And so this is why I created Water Stories, because I really love this Got Hope shirt with Desert or Paradise, because now it's so far beyond hope. I know that it's all possible. I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've tasted it, I've felt it. So what I feel is not a sense of hope, but a sense of belief that we can create this better common future. I've shown that over the last more than 10 years now around the world with elemental ecosystems, but it's also really why we created Water Stories. So we can get as many people as possible earning their living healing the earth. There's so many people out there with good intentions that want to heal, but are only doing it in their off time. And you're going to be really limited if you only have a little bit of time on weekends and in between your other commitments. If you can create a life where you're earning your living, doing what you feel called to do in the world, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort, but the reward is so worthwhile if you dedicate yourself to it. And so we have this whole training program to help others engage in this kind of livelihood. This is our Water Stories core course. We have different options, all sorts of different support, but it really is designed to help you become a water cycle restoration practitioner, so that like a Sepp Holzer, like a Rajendra Singh, you can read a landscape, you can understand what can be done, but not just what can be done, but how to do it, and how to do it not in theory, but in your hands, so that you yourself can go and do the project, can achieve the results. And so this is our course. You can check it out. We have a lot of different pathways for the different types of people that are engaging in this type of work, whether you're a professional, a land steward with your own farm or homestead, or even if you don't have land but you want to be an advocate of water cycle restoration. We have different actions and activities to help guide you along each one of these paths. We go through a lot of different things in this course. It's not just about learning how to do the tools and techniques, but actually how to be the right type of person to engage with others in a meaningful way. It involves a lot of self-development to learn what your own skills and strengths and weaknesses are so that you can be really effective in creating your own livelihood or offering to the world. So we have our advanced course where it's a live cohort over 6 months. Our next one opening this March. And we also have an essentials course that's open to join anytime, self-paced, and you can do it at your own pace over a 1-year timeline. And what we see is amazingly, it achieves incredible results in a really short period of time. This is one project where they actually now have a seasonal spring as a result of their work. So it was a really difficult situation, but they really were able to achieve some incredible things in an amazingly short period of time. Now they're storing a lot of water, healing their landscape, growing a huge amount of vegetation. The level in their well has come up. They have a seasonal spring, and this is all just in less than a year's time. And we see this for all sorts of our students, creating these beautiful demonstration projects, helping their communities, helping their clients, helping people around the world do the real land healing work. Whether it's in South America, in Europe, in North America, all around the world, we're helping train people to really be able to implement these projects and do it in a confident, competent, and efficient manner. And it's amazingly simple, but it's amazing how many people don't know the few details that you need to do right to excel in this type of work. And so that's where we really focus, giving all the support and guidance that you need to be able to do these things effectively. And it's not just a course, we have a whole online community, we have films, we have videos, resources, all sorts of things to help you along this journey, wherever you are. If you're just learning about water cycle restoration, it's great to dive deeper. Or if you're ready to take the leap and become a practitioner, it's also geared up for that as well. And we call it water stories because we see there's all these amazing stories all around the world. I shared a little bit about 2 today, but they're all over the place. And so we're constantly creating more content, films, and videos to help share these amazing success stories from around the world. We have some films that have been really well received at film festivals, winning a lot of awards, and are really impactful at showing people what is possible. And so in just a short period of time, less than 2 years, we have members in almost 200 countries around the world. It's really spreading like wildfire because we see that when we work with water, we can be very effective. We can create incredible transformations on land and in our ecosystems to create these beautiful habitats that we and our non-human brothers and sisters on the planet can thrive in. And so I hope you'll join us in the community, which is all about learning water cycle restoration, films, videos, webinars. If you're ready to become a practitioner and to start doing projects like this for yourself or for others, I hope you'll join us in the core course. And we also have some in-person intensives kicking off later this year. These are project intensives where you can really get on the ground, boots on the ground experience with a big project like this as it's unfolding. I hope you'll use this in your life. I hope that you'll go out and do some small action to help create that better common future. So join us at Water Stories, all sorts of content to help your growth and development no matter where you are on this path.